Welcome to Studio 5. We hope today's show will deliver hope, challenge thinking, and open hearts. We're checking in with actor Malik Yoba and recording artist Micah Tyler for some help in that regard. So let's begin this week's countdown of the top 5 stories in uplifting entertainment. Here are your first 2.
At number 5,
no red carpet rollout for Cannes.
a new plan for the 73rd Annual Cannes Film Festival, which is no longer happening this week.
It's been canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The normally star-studded celebration will now unveil a selection of movies in early June and collaborate with several festivals.
Spike Lee was due to head the jury this year. Film premieres were to include Pixar's Soul and Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch, starring Timothée Chalamet and Owen Wilson.
At number 4,
Family of a Georgia man is asking for justice more than 2 months after he was shot and killed.
growing sadness and outrage at the February 23rd killing of Ahmaud Arbery, shot while jogging through a Brunswick, Georgia neighborhood.
Ahmaud carried the most humblest spirit. Ahmaud was kind. Ahmaud didn't deserve to go the way that he went.
Today, the Department of Justice said it will consider a request to review the shooting death in Georgia of Ahmaud Arbery and whether the suspects can be charged with a federal hate crime.
Arbery would have turned 26 Saturday, and people across the country ran on that day in his honor, including celebrities like Sterling K. Brown, who shared, "May justice be served for the family."
How can you start a fight when you're going out for a jog, right? How can you start a fight when somebody loads up their weapons and gets in a truck and follows you? I don't get that.
Recording artist Micah Tyler posted this tribute saying, "This is so senseless and sickening. Angry but praying for healing and justice. God help us all." Singer Torrin Wells shared, "God, let justice run like a river. America, we have a problem. Who will raise their voice?"
I don't have to know the whole story. I don't have to wait for another article to come out. If someone was killed, it matters.
The death of Ahmaud Arbery and the long-delayed arrest of his accused killers have sparked many emotions. A lot of them center around race and racism. And the bottom line is this: it's hard to treat an illness when you refuse to trace it and deal with it at its root. A lesson we in Studio 5 explored a while back in our sit-down conversation with actor Malik Yoba.
If you could go see my mom. I was her only son.
From television to magazine covers, Malik Yoba owns the screen when the cameras are fixed on him. The world began paying attention to the Bronx-born actor.
You see Junior. Well, you want to know what I see?
In his 1993 breakout performance in Cool Runnings, making Yoba a much more familiar name.
Your dad gave the definition to your last name, Yoba, and he chose that himself. Is that correct?
My father was born Milton Myers. Even though he came from a line of pastors, which I later learned, he sort of relinquished anything European. So for him, getting rid of the Myers last name was important, and he took on the name Nature Boy, spelled it backwards, which was Erotan Yob. Then he added the A, and he gave it a definition of last of the slaves, a new generation. My father was a musician. He was a jazz musician. That's the whole Nature Boy connection.
Here I go again, falling for a pretty face.
Malik inherited his father's musical talent, but that gift was bittersweet for his dad, who was born in 1927, a time when segregation sidelined success in the entertainment world.
He used to actually play behind the curtain for Elvis, like back in the day when they wouldn't let black musicians share the stage. So those are some of the stories we heard as a kid. So he didn't encourage.
So he didn't want you to do this?
No, my artistic career at all. My mother did. Yeah, but he didn't.
Did he have a chance to see?
He did. Before he passed, he saw Cool Runnings and he saw New York Undercover.
The series was groundbreaking.
DK, huh? What does that stand for?
The very first television drama to star two men of color.
So he came around on literally on his deathbed. Like, he was able to watch in the hospital, like, that's my son.
One of the roles that you played that really moved me and surprised me was you as Martin Luther King Jr.
They're saying I'm responsible. And Martin Luther King's nonviolence is causing violence.
They're wrong. You're the one trying to make sense out of all this chaos.
Maybe I let it all go to my head. The Nobel Prize, the March on Washington. I thought I changed the world. I look back and I don't feel like I accomplished much.
How did he get in you? Because you sounded so much like him. I believed it. How did he get in you?
When I got the call to audition for that, I actually said no. Because I think David, he killed that role.
Yeah, he did
and
a
there's
great
been
job.
about 14 Martins, guys that have done it over the years. And I thought he was perfect. And so I lived with every recording I could find.
Wow.
And I would literally just, for hours, just lay and just listen. I would pray, I would meditate. And just, for me, it was about like honoring the spirit.
Do you feel like you are living the life God designed for you right
100%.
now? Why?
For me, man, I was born Muslim, but I never identified with being Muslim. For no other reason that it was hard to wrap my head around some of the extreme beliefs. But for me, I always had a voice in me that told me that I was gonna do some things. I gave my teachers my autograph when I was 13. It's like, I'm gonna be famous, you should keep this. So I was always guided by this internal compass that said, go in this direction. And then for me, it wasn't until I was 33 that I actually came to Christianity.
Wow.
But I've always felt a very purpose-driven life of service since I was a kid.
Can't let you go without asking, you missing Empire?
No.
No.
1 second, the more critical.
Yoba's character, Vernon Turner, was surprisingly killed off the hit Fox television series after just one season.
I sat there and listened to you give a false alibi.
It ended at the right time for you?
For me, man, like I said, purpose-driven. I was in St. Louis doing a screening, a fundraising screening for the Urban League Save Our Sons program before the second episode aired to raise money for a real program. And I got the call that my character's being killed. And so it wasn't aligned with who I am and what I'm about. So it was a good little look. I love everybody involved with it, so it wasn't a personal thing, but on a past and purpose thing.
Malik Yoba is living in Brooklyn, New York these days and working on his real estate business. Within the last year, he's also worked on a reboot of New York Undercover. And here's an interesting note about that groundbreaking show. Music man Andre Harrell had a hand in its creation, and the entertainment world is mourning his recent death.
Coming up.
I've been a sinner, I've been a saint, a little bit of both every single day.
That's an old tune. See what's new today from recording artist Micah Tyler.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
At number 3.
This is my deathbed confession. It was 1969. I was pregnant and I was scared.
At the center of the abortion fight, Norma McCorvey is Jane Roe, whose 1973 case legalized abortion. A new documentary shares her story on FX next Friday. Here's a first look.
She was totally lost in her own mess. I knew what she needed.
He said, "Do you like what you're doing?"
Norma McCorvey has joined a leading anti-abortion group and found religion.
Norma McCorvey, born again Christian. Hallelujah!
At number 2.
Know the bliss of my glory arrived.
That's the voice of filmmaker and actress Roma Downey on her newly launched YouTube channel. A Moment of Light with Roma Downey shares free devotional videos.
A light has come that cannot be diminished. Many have tried, and many yet will.
Welcome back to Studio 5. There is only one more story left in the countdown. We'll get to number 1 in just a little bit. Recording artist Micah Tyler is also a songwriter. It's been said he creates honest songs that put words to the unspoken. He has a new project called New Today, but we're going to talk to him about that in just a little bit. But while I grab a chair, I want to get ready for our conversation by taking a look back at his song, Different.
So take this beating in my heart and come and finish what you've started. When they see me, let them see you, 'cause I just want to be different, yeah.
That's just a sample of Different from Micah Tyler, but of course he's got new music, new today in fact, and he joins us now from his home. So Micah, so good to have you.
Hey, happy to be here.
You know, before we get into your new music, I want to talk about something that I shared that you posted online in light of the Ahmaud Arbery case and just the devastation and horror that people are going through seeing video of that happen. What moved you to post something and want to say something about it?
I mean, honestly, it goes back to I'm spending a considerable amount of time with my family right now, with my wife and kids, and I cannot imagine losing someone that I love, especially a son or my daughter or a loved one like that, my brother, but let alone it being laid out for the whole world to see on a video. And it was one of those things that just made me sick, and to watch something like that happen. And I know there's been lots of reaction on social media and stuff. My voice is more in support to that family. I cannot imagine losing someone that they love. And it is just a tragic and unnecessary and sad situation all around.
Indeed, indeed it is. Speaking of tragedy, you have a new project that's not tragic, but there are a lot of tragedy happened between your last and this new. How do you navigate a new project in light of the devastation that you endured?
I set out 3 years ago to make something. At the end of the day, I wanted something that number one, honored God's word, but number two, was just honest. Like, I wanted people to see, what the Lord is teaching me, what the places where I trust him or that I'm struggling to trust him, because I've learned over and over again, that song Different that you just played, us kind of walking through and talking about the process of following Jesus.
I wrote the song Different a few years ago, but I feel like the Lord is teaching it to me in a whole new way right now. A few months ago, we found out that my grandmother has blood cancer. And as hard as it's been to watch her lose her hair as she takes her treatments, her faith has remained intact. A few weeks later, Hurricane Harvey came for my hometown and in 2 days poured 44 inches of rain on my house. As we're in the process of replacing flooring and releveling our foundation, we keep waiting on things to get back to normal. And then, just a few weeks ago, we found out that my little brother Daniel has stage 4 colon cancer. After the shock and the tears, my family is preparing to fight by his side as he gets ready to start chemo. And in the midst of all this, the prayer that I kept saying was, Jesus, can you just change these things? Can you stop the cancer? Can you stop the storms? But he's chosen not to stop these things just yet. And I'm finding out that sometimes the best question is not, Jesus, can you change these things around me? But instead, God, can you change me so that I can handle the things that you're walking me through?
At the same time, like I'm going on tours, and God is doing some powerful things with our ministry, things we've never seen. Just God was doing some incredible things. So we were like living with one foot on the mountain and one foot in the valley. It felt like simultaneously. And the mountain was one of those exciting times, and the valley just hurt so much. And so we decided to just lay this whole thing out. And so we were just, I know for me, I was just seeking the promises of God, that the promise of his mercy and the promise of his grace, the promise of his hope and his love and his endurance. And so we found all those things in that process. Super excited to report that the house is put back together. My grandmother's been in remission for 2.5 years. And my brother last March got to ring the bell as a cancer survivor as well.
Yeah.
And so we got to also sing about those victories of seeing what God had done. And so when the record was slated to release on April 24th, and the pandemic hit, and we're just kind of scratching our head, and I'm going, is it weird to like release this album in the middle of all this? Because there's a lot more important things happening right now. But you know what? One thing that I just kind of felt encouraged by the people around me and just by the Lord was that we've been trying to pack as much hope into these lyrics for 3 years. What better time to release music that points towards the hope of Jesus than during this time where it kind of feels like on some days, hope is about as short as toilet paper right now. You know, it's just hard to find around here. So, and the response has been amazing. So it's been a neat affirmation to put this thing out at the time we did.
Thank you so much. And again, the new project, new today. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Still to come.
I'm honored to be a part of your graduation ceremony.
Music producer and Hampton Roads native son honors another 2020 class unable to celebrate on their campus for graduation.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
At number 1.
Don't mess with me right now, Fred. I'm very emotional.
That voice sound familiar?
Do you realize where we are?
No.
Look around, man.
It's your Studio 5 first look at Scoob, bringing ScoobyDoo and the Mystery Inc. gang to your home with a new movie Friday.
Everything is taken back to the very, very beginning. So Shaggy, we get to see a little boy meet a homeless puppy and come together to form the most dynamic duo. And
this mangy stray's done enough damage for today. He's coming with me.
He's not a stray.
Is he your dog?
He's like totally mine, if you want to be.
I'd like that very much.
Okay, then. What's his name?
I don't have one.
His name's Scooby.
Well, that wraps this week's countdown. We look forward to bringing you an extended look at Scoob come next week right here on Studio 5. Now, before the COVID-19 quarantine, NBC recorded the 4th annual broadcast of the Beverly Hills Dog Show. It combines the star power of Hollywood with the competitive canine world to celebrate man's best friend in a glamorous way. Here's a preview of some of the fun you'll be able to watch this weekend.
We got together and said, we need to get a dog show on the West Coast. I'm a West Coast guy. John lives in Beverly Hills. we wanted a dog show here. There's a lot of great show dogs here. And we said, let's do that. And we met out here with some people, and on the back of a cocktail napkin, which a lot of great ideas come from, was the initial drawings of how we were going to do this show.
Which is basically a catwalk. So the dogs, the Best in Show dogs, walk down the catwalk. David, we have 2 new breeds this year. You have one of them sitting very politely at your feet. Describe him, please.
This is the Barbet. It's a French sporting dog, bird dog, water dog. Look at all this hair. It's got a wonderful coat. We'll talk about that later.
Listen, this is so exciting. It's so much fun. I feel like this is like my version of the Super Bowl in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more invested in these players than I am in the players in major sporting events.
David John, the second new breed comes from the working group. This is the Dogo Argentino.
There's probably 2,000 dogs entered here at the Beverly Hills Kennel Club. The Beverly Hills Dog Show is a lot of fun. It's being televised, and a lot of different movie stars here to watch the dog show. It's a wonderful dog show.
You can hear the dogs. You can hear my dogs. You can hear them. They're all barking. They're having a good time out here.
I think the reason you get so many celebrities come out, we tend to be dog crazy. We live in a world that's so artificial and make-believe and fantasy, and there's something about going home to our dogs.
More than the competition, more than a dog show, it's about you and your dog. And as I always say, John's come to learn it too, the real Best in Show dog is the one that's sitting on the couch next to you at home.
It's just fun. It's a fun twist on a dog show.
And you can watch the Beverly Hills Dog Show Sunday on NBC. We need to take a quick break right here, but before we do, it's time to say it in pictures. Here's this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
With COVID-19 canceling graduations across the country, Norfolk State University tapped a native son to honor its class of 2020 with a virtual commencement address.
To be able to come and speak to this incredible institution that contributed to my love of music, and to also know that Norfolk State was going to perform at the Something in the Water festival representing the 757, our MSA, is like, that would have been like closing my eyes and seeing my childhood dreams really actually come full circle.
The Green and Gold and Music Man Pharrell Williams are this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. In just a few moments.
Ahmaud was well-mannered. Ahmaud, most of all, was loved by his family and peers.
We take a look at artistic tributes to Ahmaud Arbery as Kirk Franklin shares a word we need to hear.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times best-selling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Welcome back to Studio 5. Music fills me with joy as we're putting this show together, and this week our soundtrack comes courtesy of the amazing voice of Chandler Moore. This is a worship tune, and it's simply called Most Beautiful. On that musical note, we are almost out of time for this edition of Studio 5. So let's look ahead and see what's coming your way next week.
20 miles on the highway, every day moving so fast.
It's a busy season for Colton Dixon with a new self-titled music project. The American Idol alum is also a husband and a soon-to-be dad. Studio 5 goes beyond this magazine exclusive to deliver the scoop from the man himself.
So tell me, how do miracles just happen like that, happen like that, happen like that?
We hope you'll make time to join us for that and so much more come next week. As for the final word for this show, I want to go back to the life of Ahmaud Arbery and some perspective to how we should respond to the tragedy. I was moved by the words of recording artist Kirk Franklin. He shared them on Instagram. Take a listen, and I encourage you to really hear exactly what he's saying.
I want to appeal to you to consider adding something to your already overflowing plate. In no way am I striving to be insensitive to the millions of Americans who are facing astronomical unemployment numbers that haven't been seen since the Great Depression, or the 1.2 million Americans affected with COVID-19. Or by the time this video was done, the number of deaths that are swiftly approaching 100,000 due to this pandemic. I am asking you to not forget another pandemic that has plagued these yet-to-be United States for hundreds of years. Yet again, the pandemic of race. There are legitimate concerns about the dishonoring of the dead and the trauma that these images continue to bear on an already traumatized community. Yeah, I get it. Yet to those who continue to minimize the reality of our country's original and ongoing sin, I encourage you to watch the video of the murdering of 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery by two overvigilant oppressors while he was jogging. Again, jogging. I need you to see the video, digest it, embrace the trauma, just as Mamie Till wanted her son Emmett Till's casket to be open so the entire world could see the evil and hatred that still resides in the hearts of many Americans. I subscribe to the same ideology. The sickness can never be addressed until it is exposed. So the next time you hear your black and brown friends scream and cry against the evil of social injustice, you will have a reference point that is 150 years after Reconstruction. This isn't repackaged or revamped rhetoric from the 1960s. This is 2020 pain that allows me, as Paul says in Ephesians, to be angry yet without sin, because Prosecutor George Barnhill and DA Jackie Johnson have already done enough. And for anyone that seems to find solace in bringing up the past of this young man to justify his life being taken, I invite you to stop listening to my music, or hearing the sermon of your favorite evangelist, or voting in the next election, because we all have a past that exempts us from perfection, yet frees us to jog. There are good people in the world, every race, every gender, every nationality, and those of us that are strong should bear the infirmities of the weak. So while we fight to find a vaccine that helps us survive a new future we all face, let us continue to fight the virus of evil with the vaccine of love. Happy 26th birthday, Aubrey. Let love and justice prevail.
Kirk Franklin, thank you so much. That is a powerful and challenging final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back. See where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye.